Hey, what's up my people? IceRestrict12 here, and today I want to talk to you about some cards that I think should be banned in the TCG, some cards that I think should be limited, and some cards that I think should come off the ban list. Now, the OCG just released their ban list a couple days ago, and I think they definitely took care of business, and we need some of that here in the TCG. Now, I'm a firm believer that if you're gonna hit a strategy, you don't want to hit the boss monsters. The reason why is because then the deck stops being fun. Now, unless the boss monster is completely broken, I'm thinking of something like King of all calamities, then yeah, probably ban the monster. But if possible, try to, the end board is always kind of what players want to achieve every turn, and I think that's what makes the deck or Yu-Gi-Oh in general very fun. Now, what you do want to hit though is consistency. There's some strategies, especially in 2021, that are hyper consistent, and what I mean by that is that 90% of the time they're gonna be able to put an amazing board and you can't do anything about it, especially when you think of other decks that rely on cards like Pot of Extravagance or Pot of Prosperity for their consistency. And then you have other archetypes that have in-archetype searchers that are just beyond amazing with very little drawback, when other players have to banish 6 to 3 cards face down or pick those cards from their extra deck just to be able to dig for a couple extra cards. So with that out of the way, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these cards that I think should be ban limited and that should come off the ban list. Very well, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first card I think should be limited to one is Lurlusk Bird Call. And what this card does is that you can take one Lurlusk monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. Then you can special summon one Lurlusk monster with a different name from your hand. You can only activate one Lurlusk Bird Call per turn. So this card right here, guys, makes the deck hyper consistent. And the reason why is because you get to search a Lurlusk monster for free. Now, think of cards such as Curse Elfland for the Eldritch archetype that you have to pay 100 life points to be able to search one of the archetype cards. This one right here allows you to do it for free. Not only that, but it gives you the option whether to keep it in hand or send it to the graveyard. And the Lurlusk archetype benefits from having those monsters in hand, but it also benefits from having them in the graveyard. Now, the second portion is really broken just by, the first half of the effect is already good on its own, but then once that resolves, it allows you to special summon a Lurlusk monster from your hand, and all of these have special effects that activate when these cards are special summoned. So that is a win-win right there, guys. And literally the only drawback is that you can only activate one of these cards once per turn. But nowadays that's almost every good to decent card has this kind of restriction. So that is not a problem, especially when you're able to play 3 of these cards in your deck. It just makes the deck hyper consistent. You're going to be able to go into an amazing board turn after turn, because if the Lurlusk cards get stopped, you can always rely on Bird Call to be able to keep you going. So with that being said, guys, I don't think players should have access to 3, but I think 1. I think 1 is a good number. You're still gonna be able to get that one amazing card that is gonna get you going, but 3, especially when you keep in mind that other strategies rely in cards such as Pot of Extravagance or Pot of Prosperity, which have very, very high costs to activate, such as banishing a bunch of cards from your extra deck. This one right here for free just does something really amazing. So I don't think it's very fair, to the other archetypes that rely on very, very generic support just to have a chance at being consistent. And moving forward, guys, another card that I think should get hit in the next ban list, it is Sorcel Emergence, and it's really for the same reasons as Lurlusk Bird Call. I just think these cards make really good strategies, that are really good on their own, hyper consistent to the point where no matter what you do, these guys are going to be able to go on an amazing board turn after turn. Now, what this card does is that you can add one Sorcel monster from your deck to your hand, or if you control a Synchro monster, you can add one Worm monster instead. If this card is banished, you can target one Sorcel monster or Worm you control and increase or decrease its level by 1 until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect of Sorcel Emergence once per turn. Now, the OCG did pay attention to this card. They noticed it was something that, could be used to bring down Sorcel a little bit because it is an amazing overpowered strategy. And I think, the goal of the ban list shouldn't be to kill strategies. It should just be to give the other ones a fighting chance as well. Because Sorcel, let me tell you, Sorcel is really good. It is an amazing strategy and I have a lot of respect for it. But it is hyper consistent. because not only the Tenji side helps the deck just be able to put a board turn after turn, but the cards themselves are amazing searchers, and also they're able to just go into synchro monsters very easily by using tokens. So I think if we were to bring Sorcerer Emergence to 1, I think that will make the deck a little more fair, because they still have cards like Pot of Desires that they can rely on for their consistency, but that is a little more fair when it comes to drawing or searching or trying to get to that one card that you need to start your combos. Alright guys, and moving forward, cards that I think should actually be banned. I feel like a lot of the online Yu-Gi-Oh community will be with me on this one. It is Predoplan, Verte, Anaconda. And the reason why I think it should be banned is just because it makes access to cards such as Red Eyes Dark Dragoon or Phoenix Enforcer such a breeze. You're able to go into these cards just by having 2 monsters on the field and turning them into a Verte Anaconda. And then if you play Red Eyes Fusion, or if you play something like Fusion Destiny, you're gonna be able to go into these amazing monsters with almost no effort just by paying 2,000 life points. Now, I think you should be able to have access to these monsters, absolutely, but having such amazing monsters on the field should also carry that cost, either when it comes to consistency by having to play some bricks in your deck, or just, you know, in having to play some cards that, while they do have utility, like the hero monsters that you usually use for Fusion Destiny, are still cards that you may not have access to them right away turn 1. It has to be the equalizer. Yes, you can have access to amazing cards, but it shouldn't be such an easy thing to do. Now, I get it. These monsters are very splashable. Almost anybody can play them, but the average Yu-Gi-Oh player might struggle to be able to drop, you know, up to $150 just to play one package of these cards on his or her deck. So with that being said, guys, I think you should still have access to them. Play your Fusion Destinies, your Red Eye Fusions, but something like Verte Anaconda just makes it ridiculously easy to be able to summon these cards almost for free. Very well, guys, and moving forward, this is a card that I actually really want to hear your input. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Do you think this card is fine where it's at, or do you think this card should be banned? Now, because like I said, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. That's why I put it in this category of cards that should be banned, but to be honest with you, I feel like it might be okay where it's at, but you let me know. And the card that I'm talking about, guys, is Imperial Order. Now, just for 700 life points, you're going to be able to negate every spell card on the field. So think of something like Sorcerer. If they're able to put a good board on the field, next turn, you can't break it because you have no access to Forbidden Droplet, no Dark Ruler no more. You know, those cards that actually kind of give you a shot are completely dead. No starters, no anything. Are you trying to Twin Twister the card, or Cosmic Cyclone the card? Nothing. You have access to none of that because all spell cards are dead on their tracks. So it basically cancels out 1/3 of the Yu-Gi-Oh card pool. You don't have access to spell cards. That's it. So again, I feel like at 1, it's pretty good because there's not a lot of cards that can search it, or at least not effectively, or that are seeing competitive play. So, you know, you really just depend on luck to be able to draw it, or the consistency of your deck. So it's not completely broken, but it is a card that, you know, like I said, it literally cancels out 1/3 of the entire Yu-Gi-Oh card game card pool. So let me know, what do you think? This one, like I said, I'm a little 50-50. I think it's kind of fair where it's at the moment, but I think it's a card that can be toxic, you know, to the game. So you let me know. This one, I want to hear from you. You tell me what you think. Awesome, guys, and the next section of the video is cards that I think should come off the ban list. And the first card I want to talk about, it is Orcus Harp Horror. Now, what this card does is that you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon one Orcus monster from your deck except Orcus Harp Horror. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except dark monsters. You can only use this effect of Orcus Harp Horror once per turn. Now, when it comes to this card, guys, if, you know, archetypes like Despia and Sorcerer can have access to something like Incredible Ecclesia, which allow you not only to search from deck, but to special summon a Sorcerer monster, or in the case of Despia, a Fallen Up Albast, I think, you know, the Orcus strategy should have access to a deck searcher. Now, not only that, but it restricts you from special summoning monsters unless they're Dark Attribute, and you can only use the effect of this card once per turn. So the restrictions are there. The reason why this card is banned is because they thought it was a little too broken to be able to search straight from deck just by banishing this card. But again, like I said, if archetypes like, you know, Despia and Sorcerer have access to something like Incredible Ecclesia, I think Orcus should be fine. I don't think it's going to be too broken. Usually what this card is used to is to go into something like Dengirzu of the Evening Star, which allows you to send one card from the field to the graveyard. And that is an amazing effect, which bypasses most forms of protection. But, you know, again, when you see some of the end boards that Despia and Sorcerer can put up with Incredible Ecclesia, it begs the question. I think Orcus Harp Horror should be fine. At least bring it at 1. You know, at least bring it at 1, but get it off the ban list. I think the power crept of the game has gotten to the point where this card should be okay. Very well, guys, and the last card I want to talk about is Maxi. I think it's time for Maxi to come off the ban list, and the reason why is because just like in the OCG, now we have the tools to deal with this card. We have Cyframe Gear Gamma that can deal with this card, and we received not too long ago Crossout Designator that can take care of this threat. Now, the reason why I think this card should come off the ban list as well is because, you know, some of the archetypes that are seeing a lot of competitive play, while they do special summon a lot, it's not too crazy to the point where, you know, it might be you know, detrimental to the game. So the only decks that I think will be incredibly affected by this card will be something like Lureless Tri-Brigade or the Phantom Knight strategy that do a bunch of summoning every turn. But other strategies like you know, like Eldritch or Sorcerer or even, you know, Invoke Dogmatica, while they do special summon, is not like a crazy amount, you know, to the point where, you know, the next turn they're gonna get completely destroyed. Now, with that being said, guys, you know, this will slow down the meta, though, I'll tell you that, because then decks won't be as you know, they won't feel as free to special summon so much, because you'll be afraid to give your opponent so much hint advantage. Because in case you don't know, what this card does is that every time a monster is special summon, you get to draw 1 card. So the next turn you will have plenty of weapons to deal with your opponent. All right, guys, so like I said, I think Maxi, maybe not at 3, maybe bring it out at 2, just test the waters a little bit, because 1 will be, you know, just for the effect of drawing cards, you know, the odds of you actually drawing it and the odds of your opponent special summoning a significant amount of monsters, you know, might not coincide very well. So bring it out at 2, test the waters, and see where this card can go. All right, guys, well, again, thank you for taking the time to watch my videos, guys. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me. And, you know, thank you guys. You guys are very kind in the comment section. I love the support, and even the, you know, the constructive criticism, guys. I really appreciate it. It's only going to help me become a better Yu-Gi tuber. All right, guys, so with that out of the way, guys, thank you for watching the video, and I'll be catching you in the next one.